Can you recall the last time you woke up without an alarm clock, feeling truly refreshed, revitalized, not needing that first jolt of caffeine just to feel human? For many of us, that feeling is, well, it's a distant, almost mythical memory. We know sleep is important, but how important? Really? And why do so many of us feel like we're constantly running on empty?
That feeling you just described, that elusive sense of true restoration, is precisely what our deep dive today aims to reclaim. We're unpacking a truly groundbreaking book, Why We Sleep: Unlocking the Power of Sleep by Matthew Walker, PhD. His mission, as he puts it, is to serve as a scientifically accurate intervention, addressing what he calls the most glaring omission in contemporary health conversations.
Okay, let's unpack this. Walker describes sleep as Mother Nature's best effort yet at contra-death. That's not just a bold claim, it's almost poetic. But why is it such a critical failure, as he puts it, that sleep is so overlooked in our health dialogues today?
It's a powerful claim, yeah, and one he backs with an extraordinary amount of science. His core message is really profound. Sleep is the single most effective thing you can do each day to reset your brain and body health. Think about that for a moment. More impactful than diet, maybe more than exercise in some really fundamental ways. Yet it's alarming, frankly, that two-thirds of adults in developed nations consistently fail to get the recommended 8 hours. Walker, who began his journey as sort of an accidental sleep researcher, started by asking questions that remarkably had eluded science for millennia.
Mhm.
We've understood hunger, thirst, reproduction for centuries, but sleep remained this profound mystery. The book argues that our collective disregard for sleep isn't just an oversight, it's a critical, ongoing health crisis with devastating consequences we often attribute to other factors.
So our mission for you, the listener, today is to give you a true shortcut to understanding this immense bounty of health benefits that sleep offers. We're going to connect these scientific revelations directly to your daily life, empowering you with knowledge that could genuinely transform how you approach your well-being. It's time to truly dive in. We often think of survival as being awake, alert, and active, yet the book frames sleep as the most foolish of biological phenomena from an evolutionary perspective. It seems entirely counterintuitive. Why on earth would nature design something that makes us so incredibly vulnerable?
It's a fantastic paradox, isn't it? From a purely Darwinian standpoint, sleep looks like a massive evolutionary blunder. I mean, when you're asleep, you can't forage for food, you can't socialize or find a mate, you certainly can't protect your offspring, and you're essentially a sitting duck for predators. You're
Yeah.
vulnerable, completely unaware, practically helpless for a third of your life.
Right. It makes absolutely no sense on the surface.
Exactly. It makes absolutely no sense for a species to evolve this state. Yet, despite these glaring disadvantages and undeniable risks, sleep is fundamental. It's almost universal across the entire animal kingdom. The sheer persistence of sleep, despite its apparent dangers, strongly suggests that it must serve a rich litany of functions, plural, a whole constellation of benefits. Benefits so essential, so critical for survival and optimal health, that the evolutionary trade-off is more than worth it. It's like nature made a calculated gamble and sleep clearly won.
So what does this all mean for us? How does our body know when to be awake and when to sleep? And why do some people bounce out of bed at dawn while others feel like total night owls, even if they've technically had enough hours?
Right. Our bodies are governed by an incredible internal timekeeper called the circadian rhythm. It's an internally generated 24-hour cycle, really a marvel of natural engineering. The discovery of this rhythm is actually quite a fascinating story. Back in 1729, a French astronomer named Jean-Jacques de Méran. He conducted a simple but brilliant experiment with a heliotrope plant. He noticed its leaves open and close in a regular 24-hour cycle, even when kept in constant darkness.
Even without the sun.
Exactly. That was the first hint that life possessed an endogenous or self-generated rhythm independent of the sun. Fast forward 2 centuries to 1938, and we find Professor Nathaniel Kleitman and his research assistant, Bruce Richardson. They embarked on this extraordinary, almost monastic experiment, spending 32 days cut off from all external light cues deep within Mammoth Cave in Kentucky.
Wow. 32 days in a cave.
Yep. And there, they demonstrated that humans, too, possess an internally generated rhythm. Not precisely 24 hours, but approximately 24 hours and 15 minutes. This led to the term circadian, from the Latin circa diem, meaning around a day. Our bodies literally operate on an around-a-day schedule. The master clock for this rhythm in humans is a tiny cluster of about 20,000 neurons deep in your brain called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, or SCN. Think of it as your body's personal conductor, dictating the timing for most of your internal rhythms. Its name tells you where it is. Supra, meaning above, and chiasm, referring to the optic chiasm, where the optic nerves from your eyes cross.
So it's right there, connected to the eyes.
Precisely. Located just above this intersection, the SCN directly samples light signals from your eyes. This constant sampling of light information is crucial because it allows the SCN to reset its inherent 24-hour and 15-minute rhythm to a precise 24-hour cycle. It stops our internal clock from slowly drifting out of sync with the external world. The circadian rhythm also coordinates many other bodily functions, including a programmed drop in our core body temperature as we approach bedtime. This temperature decline, which you can see illustrated in Figure 1 of the book, reaches its lowest point about 2 hours after we fall asleep. And importantly, it happens whether you're asleep or awake. It's an unwavering, pre-programmed rhythm signaling your body to wind down.
That makes perfect sense for how our bodies know when to sleep.
Yeah.
But you touched on it earlier. Some of us are early birds, some are night owls. Is that just a choice or something deeper, like a genetic blueprint?
Oh, it's absolutely a genetic blueprint, not a choice at all. This brings us to chronotypes, what you call owlness or larkness. The book explains that your chronotype is strongly determined by genetics. If you're a night owl, it's highly probable that one or both of your parents are too. Sadly, society often treats night owls quite unfairly. They're frequently labeled as lazy for wanting to wake up later based on this incorrect assumption that these preferences are voluntary.
Right, like it's a moral failing or something.
Exactly. But night owls are biologically hardwired to a delayed schedule. It's their genetic fate, not a conscious decision. Furthermore, society's work and school schedules are heavily biased towards early start times, which significantly punishes owls. They're forced into an unnatural sleep-wake rhythm, leading to greater chronic sleep deprivation, suboptimal morning performance, and a higher risk of serious health issues like depression, anxiety, diabetes, cancer, heart attack, and stroke. They are, in essence, forced to burn the candle at both ends against their own biology.
So it's not about preference, it's a fundamental mismatch.
That's right. A mismatch between our biology and societal expectations.
Okay, switching gears a bit. Many people reach for melatonin to help them sleep, seeing it as this natural sleep aid. Is that really effective, or is it more complex than just popping a pill for sleep?
That's a crucial distinction, and the book clarifies it beautifully. Melatonin is often misunderstood. It acts as a timing official for sleep, not a sedative. Think of it like a race. Melatonin fires the starting pistol, signaling darkness and when sleep should begin, but it doesn't actually run the race. It has little influence on the generation of sleep itself. Other brain regions are the sprinters that actually create sleep.
So it tells you it's time, but doesn't make you sleepy.
Pretty much. While melatonin signals the optimal time for sleep, it isn't a powerful sleep inducer for healthy individuals who aren't grappling with a disrupted internal clock like someone with jet lag. And this misunderstanding is compounded by issues with over-the-counter melatonin. These products are often unregulated. Scientific evaluations have found concentrations ranging from 83% less to an astounding 478% more than what's claimed on the label.
Wow, that's a huge range.
It is. And while there's a significant placebo effect, which is powerful in its own right, for someone who isn't jet-lagged, melatonin isn't a strong sleep aid. Figure 2 in the book illustrates its typical release profile, peaking around 4 a.m., signaling the deepest phase of night. This concept of melatonin as a timing signal is really crucial when we talk about jet lag. The book describes jet lag as an unforeseen biological calamity brought on by air travel. Your internal clock, the SCN, simply cannot keep up with rapid time zone changes. For example, flying 8 hours east means your internal clock still thinks it's nighttime at your origin when it's already morning at your destination.
Right, leading to that awful daytime fatigue and then being wide awake at 3 a.m.
Exactly, daytime fatigue and nighttime insomnia. The SCN can only readjust by about 1 hour per day, so it takes roughly 8 days to fully acclimate after an 8-hour time zone shift.
8 days?
Yeah.
That's a long time.
It is, and the consequences of this biological stress are severe for frequent flyers and shift workers. Studies on airline crews show brain shrinkage in areas related to learning and memory, suggesting brain cell destruction. Their short-term memory is significantly impaired. These groups also face much higher rates of cancer and type 2 diabetes. In this specific context, a legitimate dose of melatonin can be helpful. By taking it at the appropriate time in the new time zone, it can fool the brain into believing it's nighttime, significantly increasing the likelihood of sleep even if the brain isn't fully ready to generate it naturally. It helps reset that internal clock, but it's not actually making you sleep, per se.
Okay, so melatonin tells your body when to sleep, but doesn't make you sleep. Let's talk about the opposite end of the spectrum. Caffeine. Most of us rely on it daily for a jolt. What's actually happening in our brains when we down that cup of coffee, and what's the real cost?
Caffeine is a remarkable molecule, yeah, but its mechanism is quite simple and powerful. It blocks adenosine. Adenosine is a chemical that naturally builds up in your brain during wakefulness, steadily increasing the longer you're awake. Think of it as a rising sleep pressure signal, a biological timer for how long you've been awake.
Okay, so adenosine makes you feel sleepy.
Right. And when caffeine blocks the receptors for adenosine, your brain doesn't receive that time to sleep signal, so you feel awake and alert. Now, individual sensitivity to caffeine varies widely, primarily due to genetic differences in liver enzymes that degrade caffeine. Some people are fast clearers, able to metabolize caffeine quickly and maybe drink an espresso before bed without issue. Others are slow clearers and can feel the effects of a morning cup of coffee all day.
I think I know which one I am.
Yeah, most of us have a pretty good idea. Age also plays a role, as caffeine clearance slows as we get older. The book vividly describes what happens when caffeine wears off. The infamous caffeine crash. While caffeine was blocking adenosine, that sleep pressure chemical was still accumulating, right? Once your liver clears the caffeine, all that pent-up adenosine floods the receptors, causing a sudden, intense urge to sleep. It's the sleepiness you had experienced 2 or 3 hours ago, plus all the extra adenosine that has accumulated. It's like releasing a dam. All that built-up sleep pressure hits you at once.
That explains that afternoon slump perfectly.
It does, and to illustrate caffeine's potent and often underestimated effects, the book references a striking NASA experiment from the 1980s. Scientists exposed spiders to various drugs, LSD, amphetamine, marijuana, and caffeine, and observed the webs they constructed. As shown in Figure 3 of the book, under caffeine, spiders produce strikingly incapable, illogical webs that were functionally useless, even compared to the effects of other powerful drugs.
Spiders on caffeine couldn't even build a proper web.
Nope. It's a really powerful visual. It's also important to remember, as the book emphasizes, that caffeine is a stimulant drug, and it's the only addictive substance we readily give to children and teenagers.
That spiderweb study is a truly striking image. So the core insight here, beyond the fascinating visual, is that caffeine isn't just masking sleepiness, it's fundamentally altering our brain's ability to perform complex logical tasks. It's not just a pick-me-up, it's a cognitive disruptor. And that takes us to the bigger picture of how our body balances sleep and wakefulness.
Exactly. And the fascinating part is that we often assume these two main systems regulating sleep, the 24-hour circadian rhythm and the sleep pressure signal from adenosine, work hand in hand, communicating directly. But the book makes it clear they don't. They are two distinct and separate systems, acting independently, yet powerfully influencing our daily experience.
So they're not talking to each other.
Not directly, no. Think of adenosine buildup like a rising water level in a plugged sink. As you stay awake, adenosine steadily increases, pushing you towards sleep. During sleep, however, the brain actively degrades and removes this adenosine, effectively lightening the adenosine load. Figure 6 in the book visually illustrates how this adenosine purge is complete after about 8 hours of healthy sleep, allowing us to wake up refreshed.
Okay, so sleep clears out the adenosine.
Right. And this separation also explains a common phenomenon: the second wind many people experience during prolonged wakefulness. As shown in Figure 7 of the book, even with adenosine levels continuing to rise all night like that water in a plugged sink, the morning rise of our circadian rhythm can temporarily offset that mounting sleepiness. This is why you might feel absolutely miserable around 5 or 6 a.m. during an all-nighter, what the author calls graveyard shift misery, but then experience a rally in alertness as your internal clock's alerting signal kicks in.
So the circadian rhythm is giving you a boost even though the sleep pressure is super high.
Exactly. It's a temporary battle won, but the sleep debt is still accumulating and your cognitive performance is still severely impaired, even if you don't feel it quite as much in that moment.
It's incredible how our bodies juggle these two internal clocks. But let's dig deeper into sleep itself.
Yeah.
Have you ever walked into a room and instantly known someone was asleep? How do we make that lightning-quick judgment, and what's happening with our sense of time when we're in that state?
That lightning-quick judgment is something we're incredibly good at, almost instinctual, right? Scientists use several observable features: the body being recumbent or still, eyes closed, a lack of overt communication or responsiveness. And the fact that sleep is easily reversible, you can usually wake someone up with a gentle nudge. Plus, as we discussed, it adheres to a predictable circadian pattern.
But what about time? It feels like time just disappears when you sleep.
It does, and that's the intriguing part, the paradox of time distortion. On one hand, you lose your conscious sense of time entirely. It's a chronometric void. You wake up on a plane, for example, and have no idea if it's been 20 minutes or 2 hours until you check the clock. Yet, on the other hand, at a non-conscious level, your brain logs time with incredible precision. Many of us have experienced waking up moments before an alarm, unassisted. Your brain is keeping perfect time even if your conscious mind isn't aware of it.
Like an internal clock you can't consciously read, but your brain uses it flawlessly.
Exactly. It's fascinating. The formal scientific understanding of sleep truly revolutionized in 1952 at the University of Chicago. This was with the groundbreaking discovery by Eugene Osrinsky and Professor Nathaniel Kleitman again from the Mammoth Cave experiment. Osrinsky was studying infant eye movements, and with Kleitman using polysomnography PSG, which records brain waves, eye movements, muscle activity, they observed something remarkable with Kleitman's infant daughter, Esther.
What did they find?
They discovered that humans don't just have one type of sleep, but two completely distinct states. They termed these non-rapid eye movement, or NREM sleep, where the eyes are calm and brainwaves are slow and tranquil. NREM is further subdivided into stages 1 through 4, increasing in depth. Then there's rapid eye movement, or REM sleep, where the eyes dart around wildly beneath closed lids, and brain activity becomes remarkably active, almost identical to wakefulness. This, as they later confirmed with William Dement, is intimately connected to dreaming, often called dream sleep.
So it's not just one continuous state of sleep. What does a typical night actually look like inside our brains, bouncing between these different states, and why is that important?
You're absolutely right. It's far from uniform. A typical night is a recurring, almost cyclical push-pull battle between NREM and REM sleep, playing out in approximate 90-minute cycles. Figure 8 in the book, known as a hypnogram, beautifully illustrates this architectural ebb and flow. In the early part of the night, your 90-minute cycles are heavily dominated by deep NREM sleep, with very little REM. But as the night progresses into the later hours, this balance dramatically shifts and REM sleep takes over, with minimal deep NREM.
So more deep sleep early, more dream sleep later.
Exactly. This lopsided profile raises an intriguing evolutionary question. Why this strange, complex equation? Why not get all your NREM sleep first, then all your REM, or keep the ratio consistent? It seems like an exhausting amount of evolutionary hard work to design such a convoluted system. But this design also highlights a significant danger. If you cut your sleep short, say by waking up 2 hours early from an 8-hour night, you might think you're losing 25% of your sleep. But because most REM sleep occurs in those late morning hours, you could actually lose 60 to 90% of all your REM sleep.
Wow, 60 to 90%. Just from cutting 2 hours.
Yeah. Similarly, going to bed late means sacrificing crucial deep NREM sleep. The book makes it clear, no such thing as burning the candle at both ends or even at one end and getting away with it. You're shortchanging your brain of specific vital benefits from each sleep stage. It's almost like NREM is the quiet librarian diligently filing away all your new factual memories, and REM's the wild, creative artist connecting dots and dreaming up new ideas. They each have distinct, non-interchangeable roles. To understand what's happening in your brain during these stages, let's use that football stadium analogy the book uses, depicted in Figure 9. When you're awake, it's like thousands of individual brain cells or fans, all talking about different things at different times. The sound from an overhead microphone is chaotic, desynchronized chatter.
Okay, like a noisy crowd.
Right. But when you enter deep NREM sleep, it's as if those thousands of brain cells shift from individual chatter to a unified, powerful rhythm. All at once, they send up these tall spikes of brainwave activity, then fall silent for seconds. This is slow-wave sleep, a truly active, coordinated state, not just a dull stupor. During this time, your thalamus, the brain's sensory gate, blocks external signals, allowing for inward reflection and the crucial distillation of fact-based memories. It's like the brain goes into a deep meditative state to process the day.
And then REM sleep. That sounds different again.
Very different. Then comes REM sleep, also called paradoxical sleep. Here, your brain activity returns to an awake-like, desynchronized state with faster frequencies. Individual brain cells are frantically processing information again, much like wakefulness, and some brain areas are even up to 30% more active than when awake. But crucially, your body is completely paralyzed to prevent you from acting out your dreams. It's a state where, as the author puts it, wonderfully eclectic lunatics are now running the associative memory asylum, where abstract connections and creative problem-solving flourish in this unique neurochemical environment. Your brain is essentially having a solo dance party, making creative leaps and forging new connections. If we think about the bigger picture, one of the most remarkable aspects of sleep across the lifespan is observed even before birth. The book describes a ballistic increase in REM sleep time during the last trimester of pregnancy, peaking at an astounding 12 hours a day in the last week before birth.
12 hours of REM sleep before you're even born.
12 hours a day, yeah. The human fetus, therefore, doubles its hunger for REM sleep just before entering the world. This intense period of REM sleep acts as an electrical fertilizer, generating dazzling bursts of electrical activity that stimulate the lush growth of neural pathways and synaptic connections in the developing brain. It's essentially wiring up the brain's vast networks.
So REM sleep is literally building the brain.
In a very real sense, yes, which makes the devastating impact of alcohol on this crucial stage even more concerning. Alcohol consumed by the mother readily crosses the placental barrier, directly affecting the fetus. Studies show that newborns of heavy-drinking mothers spend significantly less time in REM sleep, with dampened intensity and a marked depression in breathing. Even alcohol in breast milk, equivalent to a mother having just a drink or two, fragments infant sleep and suppresses REM by 20–30%. This suggests profound long-term implications for brain development. Blocking REM sleep in infant animals leads to abnormal neural connectivity and socially withdrawn behavior as adults. It's a stark reminder of how early sleep begins its critical work.
That's incredibly important. And how does this pattern change as kids grow up?
Moving into childhood and adolescence, the ratio of NREM to REM sleep continues to shift. While a 6-month-old spends about 50-50 in REM sleep, by age 5, it's 70-30. Stabilizing at roughly 80-20 by the late teens. This increasing dominance of deep NREM sleep during adolescence is critical. As neuroscientist Erwin Feinberg proposed, deep NREM sleep actively prunes and refines brain connections for greater efficiency. This process, starting at the back of the brain and moving forward, is directly linked to improvements in cognitive skills, reasoning, and critical thinking.
So deep sleep is like tidying up the teenage brain.
That's a great way to put it. Tidying up, optimizing. What's particularly interesting is that the frontal lobe, responsible for rational thought and decision-making, is the very last stop in this maturational journey. This helps explain why rationality is one of the last things to flourish in teenagers. Their brains are literally still under construction at the front. The book also highlights a significant adolescent circadian shift. Teenagers are biologically wired to a delayed sleep schedule, naturally wanting to go to bed 1 to 3 hours later than adults.
So that's why they want to stay up late and sleep in. It's biology, not just laziness.
Exactly. It might actually be an ingenious biological solution that helps them transition from parental dependence to independence by allowing for a period of autonomous activity at night, forging their own path.
So this raises an important question. If teenagers are wired to sleep later, why do older adults often complain of poor sleep? The common myth is that they need less sleep, right?
Yeah, that's the myth. But the book debunks this directly. Older adults actually need just as much sleep as they did in midlife, but they're simply less able to generate that still necessary sleep. This is due to a combination of factors: medications, medical conditions, a decreased strength of their circadian rhythm, blunted melatonin release, and more fragmented sleep that leads to earlier sleep onset and offset.
So they need it, but can't get it as easily. Are there ways to help?
Well, there's no perfect solution, but interventions like late afternoon bright light exposure can help shift and strengthen circadian rhythms in the elderly, making it easier for them to stay awake later and delay sleep onset. Prescription melatonin, unlike in younger adults, has also shown efficacy in boosting the blunted circadian rhythm in older individuals, helping with sleep onset and quality. However, the exact cause of the pernicious loss of deep sleep with advancing age remains elusive, despite its known crucial role in memory and overall bodily health. It's a tragic decline in vital function for reasons we don't yet fully grasp.
That journey of sleep through our lives is fascinating, and clearly our needs shift, but the necessity doesn't. And it's not just humans who have interesting sleep patterns. What can we learn from other species about the fundamental nature of sleep and its incredible adaptations?
Oh, the animal kingdom offers incredible insights, really fascinating stuff. Consider dolphins and whales, for example. They exhibit unihemispheric sleep, meaning they sleep with half a brain at a time.
Half a brain? How does that even work?
It's amazing. One cerebral hemisphere can fall into deep NREM sleep while the other remains awake. This allows them to continue moving, surfacing to breathe, and remaining vigilant against predators. Truly mind-boggling that half a brain can be asleep while the other is awake. Though the book notes that REM sleep is immune to this split, both hemispheres must experience REM simultaneously.
Incredible. Any other extreme examples?
Definitely. We also see examples of extreme sleep deprivation resilience in nature. Female killer whales and their calves, for instance, have been observed to forego sleep for weeks during perilous journeys, prioritizing survival over rest when calves are most vulnerable. The white-crowned sparrow is another astonishing case. During migration, these birds show an unparalleled resilience to total sleep deprivation with virtually no ill effects. This remarkable ability is so compelling that the American military has invested millions in studying it, hoping to develop a 24-hour soldier.
Wow. So how do humans fit into this spectrum? We don't sleep half-brained, unfortunately.
No, we don't. Humans present an interesting anomaly. We sleep significantly shorter than other primates, about 8 hours compared to 10-15 hours in monkeys and apes. Yet we have a disproportionately high amount of REM sleep. We dedicate 20-25% of our sleep to dreaming versus an average of only 9% in other primates. This enhanced REM sleep, the book suggests, might have scaled to foster large, emotionally astute, stable, highly bonded, and intensely social communities, contributing to our unique social evolution. Our enhanced dream sleep might be a key to our social intelligence.
So more REM helped us become more social. Interesting theory.
Yeah. And lastly, it's worth noting the deeply biological nature of biphasic sleep in humans. We have a genetically hardwired mid-afternoon postprandial alertness dip, an innate drive to nap that's observed in pre-industrial cultures. This isn't just a cultural habit, it's an evolutionarily imprinted lull in wakefulness. That post-lunch drowsiness is a natural, normal part of our daily rhythm.
Good to know. So you're not lazy if you feel that afternoon slump. You're just human.
Exactly. You're just human.
Okay, so sleep isn't just the absence of wakefulness. It's this incredibly complex, evolutionarily critical process. What exactly is it doing for our brains every night beyond just resting?
The book makes it very clear. Sleep is an exquisitely complex, metabolically active, and deliberately ordered series of unique stages, each offering distinct benefits to our brain. It's not a uniform state. Light NREM, deep NREM, and REM sleep each contribute something vital, and losing out on any one type can lead to cognitive impairment. It's a beautifully orchestrated symphony of brain activity.
So what's happening with memory? That's often linked to sleep.
Absolutely. One of sleep's most critical roles for the brain is memory consolidation. Deep NREM sleep, which dominates the early part of the night, is crucial for solidifying fact-based, textbook-like memories. The more deep NREM sleep you get, the more information you'll remember the next day. The book quotes Quintilian's ancient foresight and even Simon Garfunkel's The Sound of Silence lyrics, noting how sleep plants memories in the brain, ensuring they still remain. It's like your brain is diligently filing away everything you learned that day, making it permanent.
And can it help us recall things we thought we forgot?
Yes. Sleep doesn't just preserve memories. It can also salvage seemingly lost ones. You know that, yes, now I remember a sensation after a good night's rest. That's sleep repairing and making retrievable memories you couldn't access before. What's truly fascinating here is the science fact of targeted memory reactivation, where specific memories can be selectively enhanced during sleep.
Selectively enhanced memories. That sounds like science fiction.
It does, but it's real. And this, the book suggests, raises profound ethical questions about potentially writing and rewriting your own remembered life narrative. Imagine the power of selectively boosting certain memories while you sleep. Sleep also performs a vital function of selective forgetting. It preferentially picks and chooses what information is strengthened and what is forgotten, improving memory efficiency, like an organized, clutter-free desk.
So it cleans out the unimportant stuff.
Essentially, yes. This has exciting clinical hopes for weakening painful memories, such as those associated with trauma or addiction. Not erasing them, but making them less potent, less intrusive, distinct from something like eternal sunshine of the spotless mind.
Okay, that covers facts. What about learning skills, like playing an instrument or a sport?
Great question. Sleep is essential for skill memory, or motor learning, too. The book shares the insightful anecdote of a pianist who couldn't master a piece, went to bed frustrated, and then could just play perfectly the next morning. This led to research showing that practice with sleep makes perfect. Offline learning of motor skills, like typing sequences, dramatically improves overnight. We're talking 20% faster and 35% more accurate without any further practice. Sleep automates these movements, making them second nature, critical for athletes, musicians, surgeons, anyone learning a physical skill.
So the brain practices while you sleep.
It consolidates and refines the motor programs, yes. The implications for athletes are profound. Missing late morning sleep, which is rich in NREM spindles crucial for motor skill refinement, shortchanges the brain of a learning restoration benefit. Professional teams in the NBA and NFL are now prioritizing sleep as a sophisticated, potent, and powerful legal performance enhancer, recognizing its direct impact on physical exhaustion, muscle strength, and injury rates. You can see the data in figures 10 and 11 of the book. And finally, sleep is a critical ingredient in the brain's plastic reorganization after a stroke, fostering the genesis of new connections and aiding the day-by-day return of motor function. It's actively rebuilding connections and pathways.
We often hear about diet and exercise as the pillars of health, and they are important. But the book argues sleep is the foundation. What happens to our physical health without it? What's the real cost on our bodies?
Yeah, foundation is the right word. The book unequivocally states that every major system, tissue, and organ of your body suffers when sleep becomes short. The message is stark. The shorter your sleep, the shorter your life. Leading causes of death like heart disease, obesity, dementia, diabetes, and cancer all have recognized causal links to a lack of sleep. It's not just a feeling of being tired, it's a profound systemic breakdown.
Wow. Okay, break that down. What about heart health?
For cardiovascular health, sleep deprivation is a serious threat. It significantly increases blood pressure, contributing to hypertension, which claims over 7 million lives annually. People consistently sleeping less than 6 hours are 200 to 300% more likely to suffer coronary artery calcification, a precursor to heart attacks. The culprit is often an overactive sympathetic nervous system, trapping the body in a perpetual overdrive, fight-or-flight state, constantly stressed. The book highlights how losing just 1 hour of sleep during daylight savings in March causes a frightening spike in heart attacks the very next day. Conversely, gaining an hour in autumn sees rates plummet. It's an immediate, measurable impact.
Just 1 hour makes
Yeah.
that much difference. That's incredible.
Yeah.
What about metabolism and things like diabetes?
Metabolically, routinely sleeping less than 6 hours is strongly linked to higher rates of type 2 diabetes. Just 6 nights of 4-hour sleep made healthy adults 40% less effective at absorbing glucose, effectively putting them in a pre-diabetic state. Their cells became stubbornly resisting the message from insulin, unable to properly manage blood sugar.
And the link to weight gain. Is that real?
Very real. In terms of obesity and appetite, inadequate sleep creates physiological double jeopardy. It decreases leptin, the satiety hormone that tells you you're full, and increases ghrelin, the hunger hormone. This means you feel unsatisfied even after a meal and you crave more. Sleep-deprived individuals crave high-calorie foods, sugars, carbs, salty snacks, because a lack of sleep silences the prefrontal cortex, which controls impulse and amplifies primal desire regions in the brain. Studies show people consume an average of 600 extra calories per day when sleep-deprived. The book calls inadequate sleep the perfect recipe for obesity. You're battling your own biology when you're tired.
Okay, heart, metabolism, weight. What about reproductive health?
That takes a hit, too. Short sleep ages a man by 10-15 years in testosterone virility, significantly reducing it. For women, less than 6 hours of sleep can lead to a 20% drop in follicular-releasing hormone and an 80% higher risk of subfertility. They are also significantly more likely to miscarry in the first trimester. Sleep loss, according to the book, degrades reproductive hormones, organs, and even physical attractiveness. It's an all-encompassing decline.
In the immune system, we hear about that connection often.
Profoundly affected. The immune system and cancer risk. A single night of just 4 hours of sleep can wipe out 70% of your natural killer cells. These are your immune system's Zelvado-7-like agents that target cancer cells and viruses. Chronic sleep loss, like consistently getting less than 6 hours, increases cancer risk by 40%. The World Health Organization has even classified nighttime shift work as a probable carcinogen. Your body's defenses are simply decimated without proper sleep.
So it literally lowers your defenses against cancer.
Yes. And finally, chronic sleep loss erodes the very essence of biological life itself, impacting our genes and DNA. It alters the activity of thousands of genes, a 200% drop in activity after 1 day of deprivation in mice. It also damages telomeres, which are essentially like the plastic tips on your shoelaces, protecting your DNA from fraying. Without good sleep, those tips wear down faster, and your cells essentially age prematurely. The book warns, neglect sleep, and you are deciding to perform a genetic engineering manipulation on yourself each night. It's literally changing your genetic expression.
Wow, that's heavy. So many of us, myself included, have pulled all-nighters or worked through exhaustion, convinced we can catch up on sleep later. Does the book really challenge that idea that sleep is like a bank where you can just pay back a debt? And how bad is it really when your brain isn't at its best due to lack of sleep?
That's a common misconception, yeah. And yes, the book profoundly challenges it. Sleep is not like a bank. You can't accumulate a debt and simply pay it back later without consequences. The cognitive effects are far worse than most people realize. The book highlights Dr. David Dinge's research using a simple attention test, pressing a button when a light appears. In sleep deprivation studies, Dinges found that those who slept 8 hours maintained stable performance, but those allowed only 4 or 6 hours of sleep for a week showed an escalating impairment in performance at a ballistic rate, never flattening out. They experienced microsleeps, short involuntary lapses in attention and consciousness, which Dinges likens to the beep of a flatlining heart monitor. You're literally zoning out without knowing it. Microsleeps.
So your brain just checks out for a second.
For a few seconds, yes. And the most harmful finding of all, according to the book, is that participants consistently underestimated their degree of performance disability. This is the most harmful of all because, as the book states, it's the equivalent of someone at a bar who has had far too many drinks picking up his car keys and confidently telling you, "I'm fine to drive home." With chronic sleep restriction, people acclimate to their impaired state, and low-level exhaustion becomes the accepted norm. The author emphatically states, 60 years of scientific research prevent me from accepting anyone who tells me that he or she can get by on just 4 or 5 hours of sleep a night just fine. You might feel fine, but your brain is emphatically not.
That's a terrifying realization about our own self-assessment. And this is where the rubber meets the road, literally. The book makes a chilling comparison between drowsy driving and drunk driving that I think everyone needs to hear.
It's a terrifying comparison because the data is undeniable. The book reveals that after 19 hours awake, your cognitive impairment is equivalent to being legally drunk, with a 0.08% blood alcohol content.
19 hours awake is legally drunk.
Right.
That's most people's workday plus evening.
Exactly. Performance begins to decline after just 15 hours awake. More chillingly, operating on less than 5 hours of sleep triples your crash risk. Less than 4 hours increases it by 11.5 times. The relationship, as figure 12 in the book shows, exponentially mushrooms, not linearly. And if you combine legally drunk driving with just 4 hours of sleep, you get nearly 30 times more off-road deviations than if you were sober and rested. It's a recipe for disaster.
30 times worse.
Yeah. The scope of this problem is immense. 2 million Americans fall asleep while driving each week, and 56 million struggle monthly. Drowsy truckers with high rates of obesity and sleep apnea are 500% more likely to crash, and tragically, they take an average of 4.5 other lives with them. The book strongly argues for changing terminology from accidents to crashes because these events are predictable and the direct result of not obtaining sufficient sleep. It recounts the tragic 1997 crash involving a truck driver who had been awake for 34 hours, killing 7 children. As the author writes, to carry the burden of another's death on your shoulders is a terrible thing, emphasizing the lethal nature of drowsy driving. These are preventable tragedies.
So sleep deprivation is a personal health crisis and a public safety threat. But what's the broader impact of a sleep-deprived society? What happens when this individual problem scales up to a global epidemic?
And it really is an epidemic. When we scale these sleep deficits up to a societal level, the picture becomes truly alarming. The World Health Organization has designated insufficient sleep as a global health epidemic. Data shows 65% of U.S. adults, 39% in the U.K., 66% in Japan sleep less than 7 hours a night. And as we just discussed, the book reminds us that sleep is not like a credit system or the bank. You can't simply pay back sleep debt later. The damage is done.
What about the economic cost?
Staggering. Insufficient sleep costs the U.S. $411 billion and Japan $138 billion annually. That's from figure 16 in the book. Lost productivity per employee ranges from $2,000 to $3,500 per year. For businesses, the book lists that key performance indicators like creativity, intelligence, motivation, effort, efficiency, group effectiveness, emotional stability, sociability, and honesty are all systematically dismantled by insufficient sleep. Even small reductions of 20-60 minutes have a negative effect. It's chipping away at our collective potential.
Even leadership is affected.
Absolutely. Underslept leaders are less effective and less charismatic. Their lack of sleep infects even well-rested employees, leading to disengagement and reduced morale. Conversely, the book highlights that employees who sleep more actually earn more money. This shows a clear financial benefit to prioritizing sleep, both for individuals and for organizations.
That's fascinating. What about other societal areas, like the military or education?
Well, perhaps one of the most chilling societal consequences discussed is in military interrogation. Sleep deprivation is ill-designed for the purpose of obtaining accurate intelligence, because it severely degrades memory, emotional stability, comprehension, and paradoxically increases lying. The book recounts former Israeli Prime Minister Menachem Begin's account of KGB torture through sleep deprivation, calling it a barbaric tool of assault. It doesn't make people tell the truth, it simply breaks them.
Horrifying. And education. You mentioned the issue with teenagers earlier.
Yeah, right. In education, early school start times are described by the author as lunacy. Teenagers, with their biologically delayed circadian rhythms, are forced to wake at what is biologically equivalent to 3:15 a.m. for an adult. This impacts academic performance. A study in Edina, Minnesota showed later start times led to more sleep and higher SAT scores. It also affects attendance, behavior, and reduces substance abuse. Worryingly, ADHD misdiagnosis is often linked to chronic sleep deprivation, leading to children being prescribed amphetamine-based drugs when sleep is the real issue, or medicating a sleep problem.
And healthcare itself.
Yeah.
The doctors and nurses.
Healthcare is a major concern. The Halstedian legacy of sleep-deprived residency training, born from a drug-addicted physician, is devastating. Residents working long shifts commit 36% more serious medical errors and 460% more diagnostic mistakes. 1 in 5 residents causes significant patient harm, and 1 in 20 kills a patient due to sleep loss. The book states, after 22 hours without sleep, human performance is impaired to the same level as that of someone who is legally drunk. It's a critical life or death issue that society largely ignores, putting all of us at risk. Moving forward, let's talk about specific sleep disorders, starting with insomnia. It's really common. The book precisely defines insomnia not as simply sleep deprivation, which is having the ability to sleep, but inadequate opportunity, but rather as suffering from an inadequate ability to generate sleep, despite allowing oneself the adequate opportunity. That's a key distinction.
So you have the time, but you just can't sleep.
Exactly. Diagnosis requires dissatisfaction with sleep quantity or quality, significant daytime distress, occurring at least 3 nights a week for over 3 months, and not caused by other coexisting conditions. Chronic insomnia is remarkably prevalent, affecting about 1 in 9 people, over 40 million Americans. It's twice as common in women and disproportionately affects African and Hispanic Americans. The 2 most common triggers are psychological, worry and anxiety. These lead to an overactive sympathetic nervous system, trapping the brain in that fight-or-flight state, increasing brain activation, and resulting in fragmented, lower-quality sleep. It's a vicious cycle of not being able to shut your brain off.
Okay, that's insomnia. What about narcolepsy? That sounds quite different.
It is profoundly different. Narcolepsy is a neurological disorder, usually emerging between ages 10 and 20. It's genetic, but typically not inherited, meaning it's often a spontaneous mutation. The primary symptoms include excessive daytime sleepiness, these overwhelming, utterly irresistible urges to sleep that feel like being awake for 3 to 4 days straight. It affects about 1 in 2,000 people.
Just an overwhelming urge to sleep, constantly.
Yeah. Another symptom is sleep paralysis, that frightening inability to talk or move when waking up due to lingering REM paralysis, where the brain keeps the body immobilized. The book notes that these episodes, often accompanied by feelings of dread or an intruder, are a common explanation for alien abduction claims.
Wow, really? Sleep paralysis explains alien abductions.
It's a strong hypothesis for many of those experiences, yes. Most devastating, perhaps, is cataplexy. Sudden muscle weakness or collapse triggered by strong emotions, positive or negative, like laughter or surprise. As the book states, a narcoleptic patient is banished to a monotonic existence of emotional neutrality, forced to suppress all strong feelings to avoid collapsing. This is caused by a deficiency in orexin, a wakefulness-promoting chemical leading to a faulty sleep-wake switch. Treatment options are bleak, unfortunately, with no cure, and antidepressants only suppress REM, not eradicating symptoms.
That's absolutely heartbreaking. The idea that a lack of sleep can literally kill you, like Michael Cork's story with fatal familial insomnia, is truly terrifying. It almost makes you want to crawl into bed right now. But it also makes you wonder about those myths, like people claiming they only need 4 hours.
It is terrifying, isn't it? And Michael Cork's tragic story of dying after 6 months of no sleep due to fatal familial insomnia, or FFI, is a chilling testament that a lack of sleep will kill a human being. This rare inherited prion disease causes a mutated prion protein to destroy parts of the brain, leading to rapidly accelerating brain degeneration, hallucinations, delusions, and ultimately death. The genetic certainty of FFI raises profound ethical dilemmas about knowing one's fate or preventing transmission to children. It's a stark, visceral reminder of sleep's absolute necessity.
So you literally can die from lack of sleep.
Yes. The absolute necessity of sleep is further underscored by rat studies. Total sleep deprivation kills rats as quickly as total food deprivation. And REM sleep deprivation is almost as fatal. Death in these cases is primarily caused by systemic bacterial infection or septicemia from their own gut due to a complete collapse of the immune system. Your body literally attacks itself without sleep.
That's grim. So what about those hunter-gatherer studies suggesting people need less sleep, like 6.75 hours?
Right. The book tackles that myth head on. The author argues that need is not defined by that which is obtained. Just because they get that much doesn't mean it's optimal. Despite their healthier lifestyles, these tribes have an average lifespan of only 58 years, which actually correlates with the predicted lifespan for modern societies getting around 6.75 hours of sleep. Sleep, like food, water, and oxygen, has an optimal balance, not the better linear relationship. Around 8 hours of sleep for 16 hours of wakefulness appears to be the adaptive balance for an average adult. You might get by on less, but you're not thriving. Modernity, unfortunately, has profoundly disrupted our natural sleep patterns. The book identifies several key culprits we've created for ourselves: constant electric light, especially blue LED light from screens, regularized indoor temperatures, and, as we've discussed, caffeine, alcohol, and alarm clocks. These are all inventions that have fundamentally altered our ancient sleep rhythms.
Light is a big one, right?
Right.
Especially screens before bed.
Huge. Electric light, particularly the blue LED light emitted by devices like iPads, is a significant problem. Using an iPad for just 2 hours before bed delays melatonin release by 23% and causes significant REM sleep loss, leading to daytime sleepiness. This can even result in a digital hangover, with melatonin suppression lasting for days. Even dim bedside lamps emitting just 20/80 lux can significantly suppress melatonin release. Your brain interprets any light as daytime, even faint light.
Okay, so dark rooms are key. What about temperature?
Temperature is another critical yet often overlooked factor. To initiate sleep, your core body temperature needs to drop by 2-3 degrees Fahrenheit. The book suggests an ideal bedroom temperature of around 65 degrees Fahrenheit, 18.3 degrees C, much cooler than most people prefer, which inadvertently makes it harder to fall asleep.
65 degrees, that's quite cool.
It is, but it helps your body cool down. Simple acts like warming your feet and hands can encourage heat loss from the body's core, aiding faster sleep onset. It's counterintuitive, but a slightly cooler room helps your body achieve its sleep-initiating temperature drop.
And alcohol. Lots of people use it as a nightcap.
Yeah, but despite its reputation as a sleep aid, it's actually a sedative that dismantles natural sleep. It first immobilizes the prefrontal cortex, leading to that loosening up effect. But it fragments sleep with unnoticed awakenings and is one of the most powerful suppressors of REM sleep. Alcohol's byproducts, aldehydes, directly block REM generation, effectively depriving themselves of dream sleep. You might pass out, but you're not getting restorative sleep, especially dream sleep.
So it knocks you out but ruins the quality.
And alarms.
Alarm clocks.
Yeah.
The book calls them an unnatural act of prematurely and artificially terminating sleep. Waking abruptly to an alarm causes spikes in blood pressure and heart rate, an explosive burst of activity from the fight or flight branch of our nervous system, a physiological shock we impose on ourselves daily. Imagine that stress response every single morning.
With all these modern challenges, it's easy to reach for a pill to help you sleep. We're often told these are the solution, but the book paints a pretty grim picture of sleeping medications, suggesting they're not what they seem. You're right to be skeptical. The book makes a very strong research-backed statement. No past or current sleeping medications induce natural sleep. They are sedatives that knock out higher regions of your brain's cortex, creating a sedated state, not true sleep. The problem is, many people mistake this chemically induced sedation for genuine restorative sleep.
So it's more like sedation than real sleep.
Exactly. It's like being knocked unconscious, not falling asleep naturally. The side effects are problematic too. They cause next-day grogginess, leading to a vicious cycle of increased caffeine use, which then exacerbates insomnia, prompting higher pill dosages. Another deeply unpleasant feature is rebound insomnia, where sleep is worse upon cessation, often due to drug tolerance and withdrawal. You become dependent, and your original problem often returns with a vengeance.
Do they even work objectively?
That's the kicker. Objective studies comparing sleeping pills to placebo, involving almost 4,500 individuals, found no objective benefit of these sleeping pills beyond that which a placebo offered in terms of how soundly people slept. While participants felt they fell asleep faster, objectively it was only 10-30 minutes faster, not statistically different from placebo. The perceived benefit is largely subjective.
And are there actual harms?
Serious harms, yes. Sleeping pills impair memory consolidation, increase the risk of infection, and significantly increase the risk of death. Studies show individuals taking sleeping pills are 4.6 times more likely to die over 2.5 years, with the risk scaling with frequency of use. Even just 18 pills a year increases risk by 3.6 times. That's shown in figure 15 of the book. There's also a 30–40% increased risk of cancer, with older medications showing up to a 60% increased risk, and even Ambien users facing a 30% higher likelihood. The risks far outweigh the minimal subjective benefits. So this raises an important question. If sleeping pills are so problematic, what is the superior solution? The book highlights cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, or CBTI. It is more effective than sleeping pills at helping people fall asleep faster, sleep longer, and improve overall quality. Crucially, its benefits persist long-term, unlike the temporary relief and rebound effects of pills.
CBTI, so it's therapy for sleep.
Essentially, yes. It teaches you behavioral and cognitive strategies to reset your sleep patterns naturally. The evidence is so strong that in 2016, the American College of Physicians formally recommended CBTI as the first-line treatment for all individuals with chronic insomnia, not sleeping pills.
That's a strong endorsement.
Hmm.
What about some general tips for better sleep from the book? Things that people can try right away.
Absolutely. To help you apply these insights immediately, the book's appendix offers 12 tips for healthy sleep. We've talked about many of them already, like avoiding caffeine and alcohol late in the day. But two others that listeners might find most surprising or immediately impactful are: first, stick to a consistent sleep schedule. Go to bed and wake up at the same time every day, even on weekends. Setting a bedtime alarm can be revolutionary for consistency.
A bedtime alarm, not just a wake-up alarm.
I can see. Yes. And second, ensure your bedroom is dark, cool, and gadget-free. An ideal temperature is around 65 degrees air, 18.3 degrees, much cooler than many prefer. Remove all distractions and turn the clock face away. Your brain needs complete darkness to produce melatonin naturally. Other practical advice includes regular exercise, but not too close to bedtime. Avoid large meals and certain medicines late at night. Don't nap after 3 p.m. if you struggle with nighttime sleep. Relax before bed with activities like reading or music. Make it a ritual. Taking a hot bath can help, as the subsequent drop in body temperature aids sleep onset. Get about 30 minutes of natural sunlight daily, especially in the morning, to regulate your circadian rhythm. And if you find yourself awake for more than 20 minutes, get up and do something relaxing until you feel sleepy again, rather than lying there getting anxious. These are simple but powerful changes.
This book doesn't just diagnose the problem, it offers a compelling vision for a healthier, more productive future. What does that future look like if we truly embrace the power of sleep?
It's a vision that requires a return to regular, plentiful sleep, yes, but also an embrace of technology to help get us there. The book envisions a future of personalized sleep medicine. Imagine smart homes with network thermostats and lighting systems, integrated with wearable sleep trackers, dynamically adjusting your environment temperature, light, even the blue light from screens to optimize sleep for each individual in the home.
So your house helps you sleep better.
Potentially, yes. NASA, for instance, already uses special lighting on the ISS for astronauts to regulate circadian rhythms and reduce fatigue-related errors, despite the high cost currently. Those costs, however, are coming down. Education is key, too. The author notes that 0% of students receive sleep education. His university course, however, increased students' sleep by 42 minutes per night. But knowledge alone isn't enough. Exposure to your own data is critical. The quantified self movement, with wearables integrated with your health data activity, light, temp, heart rate, food, productivity, mood, could show you a direct link between your sleep and your health. This could predict risks for Alzheimer's, cancer, weight gain, even the efficacy of your flu shot based on your sleep in the prior week. It's truly taking control of your health with data.
Using data to motivate better sleep habits. Makes sense. What about workplaces?
Organizational change is already happening, slowly. Aetna offers $500 bonuses for employees getting 20 nights of 7+ hours of sleep, recognizing the proven dollar value of a well-slept workforce. Companies like Nike and Google are embracing sleep as a sophisticated, potent, and powerful legal performance enhancer. They understand that rest isn't a luxury, it's a productivity driver.
And healthcare and public policy.
Healthcare reform is essential. By improving patient sleep, we could reduce narcotic doses, as sleep acts as a natural analgesic. It could also boost immune function, accelerate recovery, and shorten inpatient stays, thereby reducing costs. Simple changes, like removing unnecessary alarms in hospitals, educating staff, and scheduling around patients' natural rhythms, could have a profound impact. Finally, public policy needs to catch up. We spend a tiny fraction on drowsy driving campaigns compared to drunk driving, despite drowsy driving being responsible for more crashes and fatalities. The book proposes health insurance incentives for consistent sleep, much like gym memberships, offering lower rates for higher sleep credit scores, ultimately improving societal health and lowering healthcare costs for everyone. It's a hopeful vision for reconnecting humanity with the sleep it desperately needs.
Wow, what an absolutely transformative deep dive into why we sleep. We've journeyed through sleep's evolutionary paradox, its intricate architecture, its journey across the lifespan, and the astonishing benefits and devastating costs of its presence or absence for both our brains and bodies. It's unequivocally clear that sleep is not a luxury. It is a fundamental biological mandate for our very existence and well-being, individually and collectively.
Indeed. The book so clearly lays out the scientific imperative for sleep, making its neglect seem almost incomprehensible when you see the evidence laid out like this. So considering the profound, scientifically proven benefits and risks we've explored today from this incredible book, if society truly understood sleep's true cost and power, what single change would you advocate for in your own community or workplace to help humanity reconnect with the sleep it remains so bereft of?
That's a great question for everyone listening. We encourage you to reflect on that and on your own sleep habits. Perhaps revisit the 12 tips for healthy sleep we highlighted today from the book. Your journey to being truly well-informed about sleep is just beginning, and the power to change your life and potentially the lives of those around you truly rests with how you choose to embrace it.